It began when I received a notice taped to my front gate. The HOA was attempting to evict me from my own ranch. The reason? According to Karen and her minions, I was violating community standards and interfering with neighborhood aesthetics. The audacity was staggering. My property, my rules, or so I thought. I read the notice carefully. They gave me 30 days to vacate, threatening fines, legal action, and even sheriff involvement if I refused. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the mountains in the distance. 30 days? To leave the land I had inherited and nurtured for years? Not on their watch. Instead of panicking, I smiled. I had anticipated Karen's overreach, and I had a plan. The very next morning, I began documenting every inch of the property, every structure, every improvement. My deeds, survey maps, and prior HOA correspondence were meticulously organized. I wanted to make it clear that the HOA had no legal ground for eviction. Then came the fun part. I decided that if the HOA wanted to play dirty, I could play smarter. I reviewed their financials and discovered that the HOA had a few vacant rental properties, homes they were trying to rent to generate income. The idea formed instantly. If they wanted to push me out, I would turn the tables. I reached out to the board and drafted a counterproposal. Triple the rent on all their rental homes and claim management of their parking spaces on the property. It was audacious but legally sound. Every rental contract was bound by my oversight once the terms were invoked, and I held all the necessary documentation. When I presented the proposal to the HOA, Karen was livid. "This is illegal. You can't." "Oh, I can," I said calmly, handing over copies of the contracts and property deeds. "You tried to evict me without cause. I'm exercising my rights to manage the properties you control, and I'm entitled to fair market compensation for your intrusion into my life." The board members looked stunned. Karen sputtered, her face red, arms flailing. But I'm HOA president. That doesn't give you authority over my property," I replied. "And it certainly doesn't allow illegal eviction. If you want to fight this, we'll do it in court, but the legal precedent is clear. Your attempted eviction is null and void." Within days, the HOA realized they had been outmaneuvered. They tried to reverse the rental terms, but I had everything documented and legally binding. Their attempts to evict me were permanently blocked, and I gained leverage over their income properties and parking rights. The tables had turned completely. Karen, meanwhile, was furious. She tried to rally neighbors to her cause, claiming I was abusing my rights, but the neighborhood had already witnessed her endless overreach and harassment. No one took her seriously anymore. I made it official by installing a simple sign at the ranch entrance. Private property, HOA interference results in legal and financial consequences. Any future attempts by Karen or her cronies would be met with immediate legal and financial retaliation. By the end of the month, my ranch remained fully under my control. The HOA's attempted eviction had failed spectacularly, and Karen's authority had been further undermined. She had tried to push me out, but instead, she had handed me a powerful advantage over her organization. I poured a cup of coffee, surveying the ranch and the surrounding hills, and smiled. The lesson was clear. Threats against property only work if the aggressor understands law and leverage. Karen didn't, and now she and her HOA were paying the price. Last year, I had to spend 6 months overseas for work. Before leaving, I made sure everything was secured, fences repaired, and cattle tended to. I had a ranch hand checking in weekly. Everything was in order. But when I returned, I didn't recognize my own land. Where my fields once stretched, there were rows of cookie-cutter houses, sidewalks, streetlights, driveways, and bright banners that read, "Welcome to Oak Ridge Estates, Phase 2. 138 brand new homes, built directly on my property." I nearly ran my truck off the road. I stormed straight to the HOA clubhouse, where Karen, the president, was sipping iced tea like a queen on her throne. "You've got 10 seconds to explain why there are houses on my land," I growled. Karen smiled sweetly. "Oh, don't be so dramatic. The developer decided to expand, and your ranch land was perfect. Don't worry, You'll be compensated once the sales finalize. My blood boiled. You built on MY property without consent. That's trespass, fraud, and theft. Karen laughed. You weren't using it. Now families will enjoy it. You should be thanking us. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just walked out because I knew something she didn't. See, the developer who originally built their subdivision? I'd gone to school with the CEO, and while the HOA thought they were cozy with him, they forgot one important detail. Their contracts only covered the lots already sold. They had zero rights to expand without purchasing new land. And they hadn't purchased mine, which meant every one of those 138 houses was sitting illegally on my ranch. I called the CEO. Hey, you might want to check your records, I told him, because your company just built phase 2 on land I still own. There was silence on the other end of the line, followed by a panicked, "What?" I sent him the deed, the surveys, and the aerial photos. Within hours, his legal team descended on the HOA like a pack of wolves. Turns out, the HOA board had forged documents claiming they had development rights. The contractor never verified ownership, they just built. That single mistake triggered one of the biggest lawsuits in county history. The HOA was sued for fraud. The developer sued them for damages. Homebuyers sued them for selling illegal lots. And me? I sued for land theft. In the end, the HOA was completely bankrupted. Karen and her board were personally liable for millions. Their homes were seized, their assets drained, and their reputations destroyed. As for the 138 new houses, the county condemned them. Some were bulldozed, others sat empty, rotting shells of a failed scam. My ranch hand and I tore down the cheap sidewalks and fences, and I reclaimed my land. Today, when I drive past that part of my ranch, it's peaceful again, just wide, open fields. A few remnants of driveways poke through the grass like scars, reminders of what Karen and her HOA tried to steal. They thought they could take my land while I was away. Instead, they lost everything, while I gained one of the most ironclad property rights cases in county history. My ranch stood long before their HOA, and it'll still be here long after they're gone.